Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Canadian Football Central, CFL content for the fans, by the fans, and we have our Week 13 review. This is Labor Day weekend, and this, I'm going to start off, there's so much to talk about, Rick. So much. This video, I think, will be close to an hour, if not over an hour, with how much there is to talk about with just game content, out-of-game content, and mamma mia, a whole lot of controversy.
Just before you go do that, huge shout out to the CFL fans, because last week's TV numbers, or was it attendance? I think it was maybe attendance. The highest attendance numbers for a week that's non-Labor Day.
I don't think that was attendance. I think that was like TV number. I think it was TV numbers. Okay. I think I heard about this. Yeah.
Yeah, I see that. Like,
in a while, it was some of the biggest numbers.
Non-Labor Day week.
And that well, yeah, because Labor Day weekend will always be the craziest, with the exception of, I don't know, maybe playoffs, maybe. But it's Labor Day weekend is always a crazy week. And even though we would start this week off with not a Labor Day Classic game, but it was Touchdown Pacific. Ottawa versus BC, where the BC Lions defeat the Ottawa Redblacks by a score of 38-12. Nathan Rourke showing it up in his home in Victoria, BC. With this was the game that Nathan Rourke needed.
Okay, so I have a question for you. Kind of, we're going to be going all around these games, but if I don't know how you feel about this, how do you feel about being interviewed before you go into the locker room at halftime? I don't know if you saw it or not.
Okay, so I know exactly what you're referring to. You're referring to the 1 second interview that Nathan Rourke does.
It's we're up what, 31-6. We're not done. Bye.
Which, okay,
so, everyone he's been getting a lot of heat over that.
Okay, well, and I get it, and I'm not gonna lie, I get it, and I'll tell you kind of my thoughts on that. Should these interviews happen? Yes. Should they in general be relatively short interviews because these players have to go talk with their coaches and this and that? Yes, they should. Now, at the same time, when teams are trying to avoid paying salary towards the cap, Rick, how do they do this? What is the other way they pay these players to avoid the salary cap?
It's called marketing.
It's called marketing. One of the things that goes into marketing is interviews. That is part of marketing. So Nathan Rourke, we know, he's one of these players who's making a ton of money as part of marketing, so the BC Lions can find ways to avoid some of that salary cap. And so a large portion of his salary is in marketing. And so I understand that Nathan Rourke doesn't like being in the spotlight in the sense of this isn't a me game, this is a team game, which I agree. But you don't go into an interview with kind of a short, we're up 31-6. Okay, yeah, go fuck yourself. Bye. That's not how that. And I know he didn't swear, he didn't say any of that. Yeah. But the thing is that that's not professional. I think Nathan Rourke, when he gets that interview, he's again, maybe it's just this is just my opinion. And I'm not, again, nothing against Nathan Rourke as a person. I'm not saying that he's an unprofessional person. I just think that what he did there was not the way to go about that. And I think if maybe he answered that question and he said, listen, we're having a really great game. I feel like I'm able to connect with my team a bit more, but at the end of the day, this isn't about me. This is about the team, and I'm happy we're able to go out there in front of my hometown and succeed. Then that's great, and that would be a great way to answer the question, and you give a decent response. And Now, because at the end of the day, it doesn't have to. This doesn't have to be a generic hockey interview of, well, we got pucks deep and pucks deep. We're good. We have to get shots on net and bodies in front. Like, you don't have to give just the cookie cutter response. And I understand a lot of people are like, well, this is gonna make for good ratings because he didn't do that and it was funny. It's like, sure, like every once in a while, but it's like, at the end of the day, I think he should have answered 2 or 3 questions. And let that be that. Because does he have a job to do as a quarterback? Yes. However, part of that job is, again, is in that marketing. He's making tons of money that way. Part of that's interviews. And these journalists, whether you agree with journalists a lot of the time, whether you don't, they have a job to do. So, just don't get in the way of their job either. It's one of those things where this is not this is not a situation of, I don't know. I just don't like the idea of my job's more important than your job. Even if, like, in the grand scheme of things, people may think that. It's like, at the end of the day, I just, I almost saw it as, like, somewhat big timing it. And it just was like, come on, man. Like,
but the interesting thing,
just a little bit of effort, just a little bit.
To go back to the game, I will say this.
Yeah.
BC's receiving is screwed. Because when you have Eklund on the 6th game, Addison on the 6th game,
you mean Ottawa? You're talking Ottawa?
Yeah, Red Blacks.
Sorry, you said BC. That's why I'm.
Oh, sorry, my apologies.
No,
Justin Hardy and Dominic Rhymes. That's your only veteran leadership on in the receiving group. Eli Stove had 73 yards. Don't even know who Eli Stove is. Yeah, they had a rookie step up. But I mean, like, you can tell the difference.
Yeah.
With those only 2 veteran players in the lineup.
Well, and that's the thing. It's like, as a Bomber fan, I have a understanding and some sympathy for receivers being out and having that hurt your team. And it's one of those things where obviously having rookies step up is big and is important and is good to see. And sometimes that's how you can find gems. That's how the Bombers found out about Ontario Wilson. It was one of those things where he never got that opportunity, and then he got that opportunity because of those injuries, and they were able to make something of it and into the future. So there's definitely a positive thing that can come out of guys that normally wouldn't get field time getting field time. But at the end of the day, when you're a team like Ottawa and you're one of the leaders in your division, Ottawa second in the East, it's important being able to keep those guys healthy, keep them successful, and keep the wheels moving. As I think if you're Ottawa, your goal is you're not going to be catching the Alouettes. I don't think anyone's going to be catching the Alouettes. But if you can secure the East semifinal and bring in a home game there after years of missing the playoffs, that's a huge win for Ottawa. So at the end of the day, it's important to keep those guys healthy, and this definitely shows kind of how much it can hurt when those guys.
Did you watch any of this game?
I saw some of this game. So I was at a restaurant while watching this game, but I did see I'd probably say around 40 to 50% of this game.
Yeah, Richie Leone threw a pass for 27 yards on a fake punt.
Yes, I saw that. I did see that. He had thrown it just to the right of him, right? He had gotten it, and he had threw right.
Oh no, I missed it. I'm just saying, like, because I was I was also at a bar watching the game, but
there you go. It's nice to see teams actually going for that sometimes, and when I say fake punt, I don't mean the stupid thing that Montreal does occasionally.
Oh, the scrub, whatever you want to call it.
I'm not gonna lie, the CFL needs to get rid of that. That's stupid. That's so stupid. But thankfully we actually saw a real fake punt, and Red Blacks pulled it off, and credit to him.
You want to hear something that else is crazy?
What else?
William Stanback, 171 all-purpose yards.
William Stanback led the team in rushing and receiving yards.
Well, yeah, that too.
Which kind of, so just a bit of a funny thing there, because I mean, their 3 passing touchdowns that they got it was one for McInnes, one for Eberhardt, and one for Hollins, right?
Yes.
Alexander Hollins. Sean White goes 1 for 2 on field goal attempts. So another miss. and I think this was just him missing it, right? I don't think this was because this,
Sean. Yeah,
yeah,
Sean White missed one of them.
yeah, because the other week that he didn't get one, that was because it was blocked, but this one he just straight up whiffed on it.
And if you watch the game, I don't know, I can't confirm it or not, but it looks like Alexander Hollins is not 100%.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me. He only got 2 receptions, only 11 yards. Even though he grabs a touchdown with that, Hollins is kind of one of those guys I expect a little bit of stronger numbers from. Devontae Dedmon though with some good returns. Ottawa did take I think on one of those returns, they had gotten some really good field position, but it was a penalty, I believe, that pushed that ball back a little bit. If I'm remembering correctly, I don't know. I watched a lot of football this week, so everything's kind of mushing together in my brain. But
I think it's time that we take a look at Connor's defensive, or not Connor, Carter's defensive stats.
At the defensive stats here,
Well, normally
actually,
you do.
yeah,
Normally,
yes, I will. I am going to. I want you to talk about something for a second because I want to pull it
okay.
up on the CFL website to ensure there are no mistakes this time.
Oh, what would you like me to talk about?
Anything.
How Nathan Rourke went 21 for 30,
Talk about
325
it.
yards, 3 touchdowns and 1 interception
Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
for an average of 10.8, and 44 was his longest.
All right, here we go. So if we're looking at defensive stats, on the Ottawa side of things, top tacklers of the game, Frankie Griffin with 10 defensive tackles, 3 tackles.
This is Ottawa,
for
by the
loss.
way.
Yep. This is, I think I said Ottawa. I thought I said Ottawa before starting,
No.
but if I didn't. Damon Webb, defensive back, 5 defensive tackles, 1 interception, and 1 tackle for loss. And then Malden the fourth with 4 defensive tackles, 1 fumble recovery. And then there was also what's SK? I'm trying to remember what that was. That's just sack. I'm stupid. Sorry. On my other sheet here, they just spelled sack. A sack for Davian Taylor and a fumble recovery for him. And then if I'm looking here, I see 1 special teams tackle for Darius Pickett, 2 for Onyeka, as well as 1 for James Peter, 1 for Romick, and 1 for Dubois. If we are on the BC side of things, top tacklers of the game for them, TJ Lee with 9 defensive tackles and 1 special teams tackle. Ely, I believe, linebacker, 4 defensive tackles for him. 4 as well for Varga with 1 sack and 1 tackle for loss. And then 4 for Gary Peters as well with 3 tackles for loss. Then 1 sack for Covington and a fumble recovery for him. One sack for Falanico and 1 fumble recovery for him, as well as 1 sack for Matthew Betts coming back to BC. And then kind of throwing him in really, really early. I did not kind of expected that. I kind of thought that maybe they would have, I guess, kind of learned after Nathan Rourke, but, I guess they felt he was ready, so they threw him in there.
So
as well as 1 tackles for loss for Tavai, and then 1 special teams tackles for Mackey, 1 for Pickett, 1 for Chung, and then 3 special teams tackles for Renee.
Maybe this is the final Rourke that we see now.
Well, that was the thing. I think there's no question that he was going to get to this point. The question was how long until he does, because BC and Saskatchewan have been sliding and sliding and sliding in the standings.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't mean they've been sliding to the bottom, but their lead in the West is nothing like it used to be. They used to have a commanding lead over this West, and now it really is the wild, wild West. And both of those teams have started to slip. BC has slipped, and they're in second, and Saskatchewan.
Interesting. I don't mean to cut you off.
Yeah.
The interesting thing was the fact that you went in Wednesday or Friday morning, Saskatchewan first, Winnipeg second, BC third, and how much just one game, like
1 week,
1 night, changes everything.
Yeah, well, and that's also where now all like with some of these teams already having tiebreakers decided or not having tiebreakers decided, it keeps shuffling everything. Although I will say every single tiebreaker, having the tiebreaker against Saskatchewan or Ottawa this year means absolutely nothing because of the fact that they have a tie. So it's like, unless you get a tie too, you basically either have to be above them in points or below them in points. It's one or the other. But I'm ready to get into the next game and everything that entails. Are you ready?
Also,
or is there more to talk about?
I will say one last thing.
Yep.
Congratulations to the Montreal Alouettes for clinching the first team to clinch a playoff spot.
Yeah, because I thought they clinched with an Ottawa win.
No, they clinch with an Ottawa loss.
They clinched with an Ottawa loss. Oh, I see.
That's what it was saying out there.
Because I thought it was they clinch with a Ottawa win because then BC can't cross over, therefore they make playoffs. That's what I thought it was.
I mean, BC is going to make playoffs regardless, unless.
Oh yeah, and Montreal will make the playoffs as well. But also,
but at the same time, Montreal also has 8 more points than the top team in the West.
Oh yeah, no, there's no question of Montreal that they will clinch. But I don't know if they've clinched because there is no post about them clinching, and that is a post that would happen. The Alouettes, I was pretty sure that they needed Ottawa to win in order to clinch, because that would prevent the possible crossover. Because again, how would they not post about it if they clinched?
Oh no, you're.
Yeah, it's kind of strange.
You're right. Yeah, you're right.
Although I think pretty much every Alouettes fan wanted BC to win anyway, because I mean, Alouettes are clinching. They will.
Oh, it's just a matter
and it's more important to Alouettes fans that Ottawa loses, so that way Alouettes can keep the first in the East.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no. So they don't clinch yet, but they should very, very soon. But are we ready for the next game here?
The one of many.
Are we ready?
Let's just put it this way. I knew that games were going to be close. These next 2 games, I did not realize that they're going to be this close.
Well, and I think this one, if we're talking about closeness, the last minute of this game is some of the batshit insane, most of the craziest football I've ever seen. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers defeat the Saskatchewan Roughriders in the 59th annual Labor Day Classic in Regina. And boy, does it feel good for those words to come out of my mouth right now, as this game was insane. There's no other way to put this. I'm actually going to go back to my list. I had made a list of notes kind of going into this. So like, these are all my notes from the game, Rick.
The interesting thing that I will say before you go into your notes is Saskatchewan Trevor Harris had 368 yards and 3 touchdowns, so almost a 400 game. They don't win. But then you have Zach Claros go 218 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, and win the game. So just because your quarterback throws up ridiculous numbers.
Well, also, to be fair, you have to realize he only played half a game.
No. I'm just saying, if your quarterback puts up amazing numbers, that's not guarantee a win.
I mean, you're a Ticats fan. You should know that by now.
Well, yeah.
I mean,
I'm just saying,
look at Bo Levi Mitchell all this year. All the crazy numbers he's putting up, and the Ticats are still losing, but not this week.
I think Mario needs to go find his mushroom again.
Oh boy.
Super Mario reference.
It's like the sound after he dies, you know. Like, okay, so I'm just gonna go through this game from start to finish here, okay?
Okay.
So going into this game and I'm just gonna go at it from a little bit of a Bomber perspective, but we'll kind of make sure to have some of the Saskatchewan stuff in here too. Stanley Bryant is still out. Drew Waltarski's back. Adam Bighill is back for the start of the game. Riders do a moment of silence for Ken Miller. Good stuff. They absolutely should. Serious respect to him and everything that he's done for the city of Regina, for the Saskatchewan Roughriders, and all of that. He will very much be missed. And so it's funny because when we started this game, Rick, I don't know if you watched the Bombers Riders Labor Day Classic last year.
No.
But I'm like, guys, watch for the onside kick. That's right. Saskatchewan last year did an onside kick to start the game against Winnipeg, and they pulled it off. So I'm thinking, guys, we ain't letting this happen 2 years in a row. And it's funny because you could tell that Mike Miller and Mike O'Shea made sure to not let this happen, as there were 3 guys lined up, and the next group of 4 that would line up normally for kickoff return were about an extra 7 yards forward. So just waiting, not letting any shenanigans happen this time. Again, of course, that was under Dickinson and not Corey Mace, but just kind of a bit of a fun thing in that regard.
I thought you were going to say that they actually did do an onside kick this game around too.
Well, they did do an onside kick, just not to start the game.
Yeah.
But then I started laughing because then I, at that point, then realized I'm looking around and there's this guy in all Bomber stuff in front of me. And I'm like, this guy looks familiar. And I'm like, oh my God, this is the same guy last year who he's in the crowd trying to start Bomber chants at Rider games. And he's wearing a blue and gold glitter suit. And the thing I love about this is that this is the perfect way to be as an away fan. And what I mean by that is that he was not obnoxious. He was not being rude to anyone. There was none of that. It was just all good fun. Like he would turn around and if I say Bomber, or if I say go, you say Bombers, go. Like just trying to start you. And just a few people would be like, oh, shut up, man. But just harmless fun. And that's kind of the best part of these games is that we can disagree. But then we won't let it get too far, except for the times that unfortunately some people do take it too far. We'll get to that later. The start of this game, both teams would go 3 and out to start, but then Winnipeg finally gets on board with a touchdown. And for the first and second quarter here, it looked pretty close at for the first quarter and then the start of the second quarter, as it was very much tick for tack. Like, Bombers would go 3 and out, Riders would go 3 and out. Bombers get a touchdown and hit the conversion. Same for Saskatchewan. Same thing to start the second quarter. And then at this point, Caleros, he throws a pick in, I want to say, the second quarter.
Give me 1 second.
I believe it was near the start of the second quarter. Zach Caleros throws a pick. And at this point, I'm starting to get worried, like, are we going to see
10 seconds into the first quarter.
Yeah, into the second quarter. And I'm thinking, like, crap, like, this isn't looking good. But this is when Zach Caleros then finally turns it around after throwing that pick. He drives that down, Nick Dembski with the touchdown. And then great kick on kickoff by Sergio Castillo. Gets that ball in deep, and Mario Alford getting the ball at really deep, has no choice but to give up the Rouge. And I just kind of made a little joke in my video about how, this is this is a tool we could use later, or whatever that video game was, where it was like, I think it's the Telltale games where it's like such and such will remember that, just because with obviously the Rouge and how that very much did not go in Saskatchewan's favor in that game against Toronto. Rick, you were about to say something?
Oh no, I'm just trying to find out where it was in the game.
The Rouge?
No, it's something else that I was going to mention. This is in the third quarter, so I'll just let you keep on going until we hit the third quarter.
But they would give up the Rouge.
To bring up.
Riders would push a little bit, then the Bombers would push a little bit. Bombers then forced a punt. And this punt goes down. And it's a high punt, so which means that when that bounces up, it's not bouncing a little bit. It's bouncing. It's going to bounce high. It was a good punt by Sheehan. His punting in this game was stellar, seriously. And hits the ground, hits the tip of Mario Alford's fingers, and bounces behind him. Which means that this ball is now live. The no yards rule is now gunk because he's already touched the ball. And Nick Hallett jumps on it in the end zone. Touchdown Winnipeg. That is right. Winnipeg, 2 consecutive weeks of getting touchdowns off of punts. And now I understand the whole thing of that Saskatchewan made mistakes in order for this to happen. Is that true? Absolutely. However, the downfield coverage of Mike Miller's punt team cannot be understated. When you get 2 touchdowns in 2 weeks off of punts, that's not for no reason. That's not for no reason. And their coverage has been stellar, and they get it done. And then Streveler would then get a touchdown near the end as there'd be pass interference, putting the ball on the 1 yard line. And at the same time, Brown, you dirty sack of shit. Ball is gone. And so at this point, you'd think this is where, and he's rushing on Caleros. Brown with a late hit drops the shoulder right straight into the head of Zach Caleros. And Caleros goes down. And I'm not going to lie, I was pissed. Because this is now the second straight year where Saskatchewan has had a player on a dirty play, on a dirty play injure a quarterback. And again, it's one of those things where it's not like he hit him in the chest. It's not like he hit him in the chest and Caleros happened to get injured. It was late, so he should have pulled up at that point. He didn't. He should have not hit him in the head. He hit him straight in the head. The head was the main point of contact. There are many pictures showing that. You can check that out. And this was just it was really frustrating to see because Pete Robertson, he had a headshot on Caleros last year, and then it's funny, like I don't like. I'm not gonna lie, this is starting to get a little bit frustrating. Like this is now the third year that Saskatchewan has had a player injure a quarterback in an intentional way. Think about it, because this year it was Brown, last year it was Pete Robertson. Or Robertson or Robinson, I can't remember.
Yeah.
And then the year before was Garrett Marino on Jeremiah Mazzoli. And so it's like, this is getting a little irritating. 2 straight years in Labor Day. Guy behind me is just losing, Rider fan, is losing his mind, shit-talking Streveler, which whatever. But the main thing is that, like, the entire first part of this game, he is, like, trying to manifest a Caleros injury, which I'm not going to lie. I think the idea of hoping for injuries to just be generally just in poor taste. Like, it's one of those things where it's like, if Trevor Harris or if Kean Schaefer-Baker got injured and the Saskatchewan Roughriders couldn't throw the ball, would it help the Bombers? Yeah, but I don't want to win like that. I want to win clean. Like, I think wishing for injuries is bad. And then Caleros is getting helped off the field. And I'm not going to lie, I heard a decent amount of people booing him off.
No, but I mean, there's, how do I put this in a polite way? There's a certain way to say it jokingly. Like, if you're among friends, it's like,
no, I'm saying this
and then it's like,
intent.
okay. Yeah.
No, absolutely. There's a certain way to go about it in the sense of that Caleros is kind of known for being somewhat injury prone, and so you can say it as a fair point. I'm saying this was with malicious intent. And now I want to make this very, very clear. When I'm saying this about the dumbass behind me, it was not because I am not saying that all Rider fans are like this. I am not. I am not saying that this is representative of every single Rider fan. I'm not.
Oh yeah.
There are bad apples for Rider fans, and I encountered one of them. The same.
I mean, there's bad apples in every city.
There are bad apples in the Bomber fandom. I've heard of them. I've seen them before. And so again, at the end of the day, the Bombers and the Riders fandom, neither of them will like to admit this, but they're very, very, very similar. Just cheering for different teams. And at the end of the day, I'm going to speak about my experience the same way that everyone else has a right to speak about their experience. The hospitality this year by Saskatchewan in Labor Day was okay for me. This is my personal experience. I'm sure on average it was great. Ran into a large, there was a very sweet couple next to us that were incredible people. They're just really nice people. Had a few good laughs with them. They were awesome. But then also ran into a bit more bad apples than I did last year. So it is what it is in that regard. Caleros doesn't go into concussion protocol. But then he's in a gray shirt on the sideline. So I think there's a chance this might be precautionary. If Zach Caleros plays next game you have to imagine this is the most pissed off Zach Collaros you can possibly get.
But
like,
if he doesn't play next week, then you know he had a concussion.
Not necessarily. I also heard that he was holding his arm. Because I heard that someone say that because he fell on his arm, even though he's hit in the head, he'd fallen onto his arm, so something like that. Again, but I don't think it's concussion because again he would have went into concussion protocol. At least like I'd imagine if he didn't, I'm not gonna lie, a little concerning. He should go into concussion protocol. But if Zach Collaros plays next week, we have to imagine this is pissed off Zach Collaros, right? Like. Is that like would this not like if you think about it last year where he goes to the reporters after taking the hit in the head, he's like, "You think the league will do anything about it?" I don't know. What do you think? Like, where he was noticeably angry. If he plays in the Banjo Bowl, this has to be some of the most pissed off Zach Collaros. Which, if that's the case, I don't think Saskatchewan has a hope and a dream and a wish of winning that game. As pissed off Zach Collaros is the best Zach Collaros there is. I mean, you saw how mad he was after last year's Labor Day. And then they came out in the Banjo Bowl. And what was the score? 51-6, something like that.
Something like that.
It was something like that. Like Saskatchewan didn't even get a single touchdown. It was brutal. But anyways, third quarter comes around and Saskatchewan then starts dealing with a little bit of injuries. They had Peter Godber go down
and Zach Fry
and go down. And then in the third quarter, Zach Fry goes down. So two offensive linemen go down. And then Michael Johnson. And then hold on a second. Someone tried to tell me the excuse that that Saskatchewan was not going to get it done because two offensive linemen got injured, which made no sense to me because I was like, hold on a second. You're missing two offensive linemen. We're missing our starting quarterback. You lost two offensive linemen partway through the game, and we had three offensive linemen missing from before the game even started. So I'm kind of, so that means that there was then the full game of a nerfed offensive line. So, maybe there's something I'm missing in that, but the logic to me, just seems to have not come from the mouth and was someone talking out of their ass. But if I'm looking here, the fourth quarter is where this gets crazy. So Winnipeg puts up a big lead in the second quarter, 22 points in that quarter. And then Saskatchewan, they don't really storm back. They just more of kind of chip away at it for a little bit of the rest of the second quarter, a little bit of the third quarter. And then the fourth quarter, the Riders really start to get going, and they make this game close. And although I'm going to be honest, with the way Collaros is playing, I don't think it ever gets to a point of being a close game if Collaros continues with just how on fire he was. I think at that point you're looking at where Winnipeg wins that game either 50-something to 30-something or 40-something to 20-something. Like, I think realistically the Bombers hold on to a strong lead in that game, as it was one of those things where the Bomber offense was severely nerfed, having Strevler back there with no real preparation, as Buck Pierce's offense was kind of catered towards that Zach Collaros. But we get into near the end of this game, Saskatchewan drives the field. They get a touchdown. And at this point, the Riders need to go for two. They gave up the single early in the game. This is where they got to make that up. So there are 3 points as a Bomber fan where we think we have this game won. So they get the touchdown. They go for the 2-point conversion, and it's no good. And Bomber fans everywhere, I'm like, oh my God, we just won this game. Holy crap. And then we're like, oh shit, wait a minute. There's still 14 seconds left on the clock. I forgot about that. I was thinking about the play. I was thinking about how they missed it. But it's like, yeah, but they got to go out for an onside kick. Who the hell ever succeeds on an onside kick? And then the Riders do succeed on an onside kick. And now we're thinking, fuck, we're losing now. Oh crap. Oh no. And now the Riders get going, and the Riders go and they throw, and he throws a pick. And now the Bombers for the second time are thinking, oh my God, we just won the game. He threw a pick. But fuck, it was pass interference, son of a bitch. And so
I have a question for this.
Yep.
So, was it pass interference, or did they spot the ball incorrectly? Because the reason why I say this is because
I need to see the play again. I'm not gonna lie, I have not seen it.
Because the reason why I'm saying is because the ref said that it was a placement error They moved the ball back 8 yards. And then,
well, it can't just be a placement error because he throws a pick. Like it has to be some sort of penalty to revert the play.
No, that's not what I'm saying. Is I guess where they had spotted the ball after the pass interference was the incorrect spot. That's the only thing that I can think of, because why after the pass interference would you move the ball back? Because if you move the ball back, if you don't move the ball back, Brett Loeffler kicks that field goal and wins.
Yeah, I don't know because again, it's one of those things that I really don't know. Again, my brain was mush when I was watching this.
And then
just because it was the constant, we got it, we don't, we got it, we don't. And then Brett Loeffler gets a field goal attempt from 60 yards. And the kick goes up. It's going down. It is dead center. But it's no good. It's too short. It's about in between 3 and 5 yards short, roughly.
Oh, it was the exactly 8 yards that they moved the ball back. 8 yards
short.
That's what I'm saying. If they didn't move the ball back, that kick would have been good and they would have won.
Now, the thing I will find hilarious is the amount of people that are blaming Brett Loeffler on this and are like, we should just cut him. And it's like, he missed a 60-yarder. Now, I will say, if you need someone who can kick 60 yards, I know a guy. And his name is Sergio Castillo. However, that is not a realistic standard, and that is not a fair standard. And also, we are discounting the fact that Brett Loeffler is the reason you get that onside. His onside kick even keeps this game going. And so, blaming this on Brett Loeffler is just stupid. It is. And
I mean,
the amount of times where the guy behind me just kept bitching about how Bailey was offside last game. And it's like, so what? Brendan Alexander got a pick that would have stopped Hamilton from getting a touchdown. And your point is? And it's like, and it's funny. I think the guy kept bringing it up. And then so Zach turned around and was like, and basically kind of did something about this guy brings it up so much, I bet you he's got that shit printed on his wall or something along those regards.
But I mean, if you think... No, but if you're blaming Brett Loeffler, you need to take a look at yourself in the mirror.
And again, Brett Loeffler has had some bad games, but not this one. Like,
oh no, this whole loss is on Mario.
I can't say that. I can say some of it is in the sense of that. In the sense of that, his judgment on the single that they give up. I'm not going to put this whole thing on him, as someone had kind of, I think it was someone in the Discord. I can't remember who it was that brought it up. I don't know why the name is blanking on me. That the ball was basically on the negative 19-yard line. You know what? Fair enough. That's true.
Oh, no, I get that.
At the end of the day, I would say if you see that ball kind of going up, maybe a little bit of adjustment, but fair enough. However, that first one where that hits his hand and he gives up a touchdown, like...
That's what I'm saying.
Like, at the end of the day, after, like, Mario Alford, in my opinion, from what I saw, does not really make much of an effort to go and jump on that ball. And, like, I'm not going to lie, it looked like a little bit like a lack of effort. But so there's that. But I can't put this all on Mario Alford, and here's why. Is Mario Alford the reason that these Saskatchewan Rough Rider receivers were dropping balls left, right, and center? I'm sorry, Sean Bain Jr. and MLS dropped this ball how many times? Like,
so MLS dropped it 4, Bain Jr. dropped it 3.
That's 7 drops.
Hold on.
7 drops.
Hold on. Keon Schaefer-Baker had exactly 7 drops.
Yep. Yeah, and guess what? It was one of those things where it's like, Nick Dembski played this game, and it wasn't him dropping it this time. Now, to be fair, some of those were some great defensive plays where the guy just got under it and punched that sumbitch straight out. Thank you, Evan Holm. Great play. But it was one of those things where it's like, Rider fans were really pissed off that they weren't holding on to the ball. Not going to lie, totally get it. They weren't. And so that's going to hurt. Also, 32 yards rushing. That's not a running game. That's not. So Trevor Harris throws 368 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, but there's no running game.
They have Harris had 27 and Shea Patterson had 5. But before you get into the stats, my lord, quarterbacks, can we stop throwing the ball at the players' feet, please? Both teams did it in this game.
Yeah, they did. Both Zach Collaros and Chris Streveler did this multiple times.
Like Dembski's feet.
Now, to be fair, with Collaros' ones that he threw into the guy's feet, this was at the point in the game again where he had that rough kind of start of the first quarter. Once he really got going and was in the zone and was putting up all those points for Winnipeg, he had really turned that around. And it was just he just had to get back in the feel of it. Streveler did it a few times. I think he did it once or twice. I think he did it twice because I think he went 4 for 6. But overall, Streveler did actually quite fine with the role that he played. It was as much as I could hope for, really, realistically. Ontario Wilson with a solid game. Dembski grabbing himself a touchdown on a really nice pass. Lawler was good, but I was hoping for a little bit more of him. Wolotarski was everything I wanted. Wolotarski, he wasn't going to be putting up these massive numbers receiving, but it was one of those things where if all other routes fail and you need a first down and you're on 2nd and long, throw that to Wolotarski. He'll stick the landing. He'll get you that 10 yards. So good on him. I think they should have went for some more throwing plays with Streveler and kind of relied a little bit on throwing to Brady Oliveira in the flats. That's kind of being a recipe that's worked very, very well for the Bombers in some prior games. If Streveler plays this next one, I expect they'll use that a little more. Brady Oliveira never really able to get it going extremely well, but later in the game, he certainly is able to run a little bit of this clock down. Winnipeg doing a good job, at least staying in it. Grabbing themselves a field goal in the third quarter. They give up 6, but it was one of those things where with Collaros out, the goal was if Saskatchewan's going to get points, get a field goal here and there, and just bleed this clock down. And all in all, that's what the Bombers do, and they're able to secure the victory. And after the game, there's just a little bit I want to talk about before going out. So there was a situation... not on my side of the field, but because I was behind the Rider bench, but behind the Bomber bench, there was a fight that took place. Now, and there's recordings of it, and it's all over Twitter. Everyone who was not at that fight or whatever is playing the blame game of, typical Saskatchewan fans, typical Bomber fans, and it's like, no. So I'm going to start with a pretext of fighting in the stands is wrong. Fighting in the stands is wrong. Drunk fighting in the stands, still wrong.
I put partial blame, and I don't care how you want. If you want to fight me on this, that's fine. But all concession stands need to stop over-serving customers alcohol. We would not be having these problems in the stands if you don't overserve people alcohol. Yes, I know they want money, but that is the problem. And if you get your smart serve, they explain to you that if you overserve people alcohol and something happens to them, you can be held reliable for that person's actions because you overserve them.
It's like, do we need a breathalyzer maybe when someone comes up to the thing and they're really hammered? It's like, what's the blood alcohol rate?
Well, if you really think about it, so let's say for those people
alcohol, like for those who didn't see the video, alcohol again. I cannot confirm, but it looks like alcohol was kind of one of the big factors.
But I'll use this as an example. So there was a Bomber fan that stepped in between both fans and tried to break it up. The Rider fan became behind him, put him in a headlock, and started to punch him.
Yep.
Had that guy received any severe brain damage, not only is the Riders held responsible because they overserved him, but also that fan would be held reliable too.
Liable.
So please, after this whole thing with hockey and everything, I'm not saying don't go to games and drink, but if you're gonna tailgate during the day,
I think there
drink
needs to be
water, please.
There needs to
hydrate
be
yourself.
Here.
Don't overdrink and don't be a bloody fool.
At the end of the day, there's a lot of personal responsibility that comes out. I mean,
100%.
At the end of the day, if you're putting something in your body, that's the decision that you're making. At the same time, though, I do think as a venue, one of the things that's important is that everyone that's there, you're ensuring their safety. And so part of that, I think it's important to, it would be nice if there was at least some, again, because I know they're trying to make money, but at least some measure for the purposes of safety, and maybe in terms of some limitations regarding alcohol and the consumption of it. Now, one of the things I wanted to get into is that unless you were at the game in that part of the crowd who watched that fight with your very own eyes, and if the Twitter footage was not there, it would not, there's nothing that, unless you watched it with your very own eyes, and all that Twitter footage you had already seen before it was on Twitter or anything, or it was posted anywhere because you saw it with your two eyes, that video has no confirmation on who initiated the fight, on who started it, or whatever. So all the finger pointing nonsense, bullshit. All of it. Unless you are an eyewitness, I don't give a rat's patootie what you think in terms of who started this fight, because that video is not conclusive. Which brings me a little bit to Lucky Whitehead in a bit of hot water here. As Lucky Whitehead goes on Twitter and is like, somebody get this 33, because 33 was the jersey that the Bomber fan was wearing.
It
was an Andrew Harris jersey, and it wasn't the peacekeeping Bomber fan. It was the biggest of drunk idiots wearing blue. Said someone hook me up with this guy. I'm gonna buy this guy a beer. And so I saw this and I'm like, oh, for fuck's sake, Lucky. And I'm thinking, oh, come on, man, you're better than this. Or
at least say, like, whoever's wearing this jersey, please reach out to me or something.
Well, no. How about this? How about don't comment? How about don't say anything? It's not your responsibility. I mean, you don't know what happened. You were on the field. You were playing some football, and it was one of those things where he then, and it's one of those things. I want to make this clear. I love Lucky Whitehead. I do. I'm just saying this is not his brightest part. Is not his smartest thing that he has gone on about. And so someone kind of rightfully points out, like, Lucky, why are you kind of encouraging, like, fighting in the stands? And so he kind of responds something along the lines of, or actually, I shouldn't say something along the lines. Let's pull up the exact tweet. I don't want to do any misquoting here. I don't want to be unfair to anyone here. I want to make sure that this is quoted word for word. Mm-hmm. So there's the fight here. Yeah. I am trying to scroll back and find where it was. I don't think he deleted it. But essentially, just in case I'm not able, he says something along essentially the lines of, "Oh, this guy was fighting for us, this and that, and so,
on our honor,
like fighting for our honor, some along that lines." Okay, yeah, here we go. Number 33, I got a beer for you. Hashtag for the W. Twitter, find me this man. People says, not cool, bunch of children. Which, to be fair, Desiree Weeb, you're right. Lucky then says, they're going to see it regardless. This man is fighting for us. I'm just trying to show my appreciation and support. It's not going to look. Which, we get a little bit of clarity based on his Instagram comment when the CFL, in promotion of this game after it happened, the front picture was Lucky Whitehead. So you knew this comment section was going to be all over that. And so what they say is really promoting the guy, really really putting pictures of the guy promoting fighting in the stands or something. And I saw this, I'm like, oh yeah, this is about to happen. And Lucky Whitehead essentially clarifies his stance, saying, hey, the other guy punched first, and so I was supporting his self-defense. Here's the thing. Let's assume that is true, okay? Just for argument's sake, okay? I understand it a little bit. The rest of me is saying, don't fight in the stands because that's stupid and dumb and stupid.
Hold on. Not only that,
even if it's self-defense, it's like put the guy in a headlock. There's no need to.
But here's the thing. So
you can always walk away.
The one guy that was fighting number 33 and the other guy that put the bomber guy in the headlock. Do you realize because you're bringing on this fight or whatever you want to call it, you could now be potentially banned from Mosaic Stadium for fighting in the crowd?
Oh yeah, no, it's one of those things.
Is it really that worth it? Like, okay, chirp me on. Chirp people all you want.
Well, here's the problem with that line of thought, Rick. You know what the problem is? Is that you're thinking with a rational mind, and there's this thing called alcohol, which reduces your ability to think rationally. There was no rational thought, trust me.
No, and this goes back to my original point.
Yes.
If you're going to be that stupid and get over drunk and fight people, I know your head's not clear and you make some dumb decisions, but I'm going to call, I don't want to say the word, I was going to say call a spade, but you get what you get and you got to live in your grave or lay in your grave.
It's called fuck around and find out. That's what it's called. That is what it is.
I can guarantee you if he could be
I
banned.
believe that at bare minimum, I think the Saskatchewan fan, at least there's a video I saw. The Saskatchewan fan was apprehended by the police. I'd be shocked if the Bomber fan in that video was not as well. I saw a video of, and the guy was fighting the cops, this and that. This guy was clearly intoxicated. It was an absolute mess. But I want to clear this up. So at the end of the day, not the best look for Lucky Whitehead, that's for sure. Violence in the stands is not okay. Fighting in the stands is not okay. I do not care what reason you have. I do not care. There is no excuse to ever get into a fight into the stands. Full stop.
And I also want to throw out. I also want to throw out.
Yep.
Do not fight your own fans either, because I've seen that this year where Ticats
do not have any fighting in the fans. I don't care whether he's wearing blue. I don't care if he's wearing green. I don't care if he's
black and gold.
I don't care if he's wearing black. I don't care if he's wearing white. I don't care if he's wearing pink. I don't care if he is, I don't know, just wearing something dumb. I don't care if he's wearing anything at all. You should not engage in a fight with this man or woman or whatever they are. Don't do it.
Okay. I think we've spent too much time on this topic. You want to go over the numbers?
Of what?
For the game stats?
We could do a little bit, but we've also been talking about this game for 30 minutes.
I know, like, I'm sitting here, I'm like, where are we going to go over the numbers? And then this guy's just like...
this video is going to be an hour and a half, Rick, and I'm okay with that.
Oh.
The people...
we knew that before we even started recording.
Oh, yeah.
But, I mean... Oliveira only had 42 yards. I would have thought he would have had more than that.
Yeah, again, this kind of went it. Well, there's a few aspects of this. So first of all, this is Caleros gets the passing game going early in this game, and so they're really the running game was not really able. He was only punching it for like one or two. Saskatchewan's D line was doing a good job of kind of clogging that up. And then when the passing game gets going, at that point, it's like why run if the passing game is having so much success? So there's that aspect of it. And then the other aspect is it just kind of goes back to once Streveler goes in, the running game is the most predictable thing to happen, and Saskatchewan takes advantage of that, and so they don't really have to plan as much for passing defense and more rush defense.
I just remembered something that you did. I'm not sure if you mentioned it or not.
Okay.
Adam Bighill, buddy, speedy recovery.
Yes, I'd sort of mentioned it because I said that Adam Bighill goes down. Adam Bighill is back in this game. but he was
chop
over
blocked
later
by
on.
Frank Nixon.
Yeah, no.
He got chop block, and the guy did like a somersault after that.
Well, yeah, it's funny. If we want to talk about guys going for flips after getting hit, just wait till we get to the Toronto-Hamilton game. Good God. Rick knows exactly what I'm talking about.
I mean, there was a couple there.
I'll put it this way. His name rhymes with Smad Smelly. So... But anyways... Overall, this game was crazy. I mean, we could get into defensive stats. I'm just going to go over bare bones top tacklers of the game for Winnipeg. Evan Holm with 8. Tony Jones with 7. Trey Ford with 6. 4 for Diedrich Nichols. And then a sack for Jefferson and a sack for Woods. If we're looking on the Riders side of things, general overview. Milligan, 6 tackles. 5 for Revis. 5 for Carney. And then a sack for Cox Jr. and an interception for Marcus Sales. Anything I'm missing there? Anything real important?
No.
Because I didn't go to the website because I just wanted to shoot it real quick. And then Brett Lothar goes 2 for 3 and Castillo goes 2 for 2. Is there anything else we need?
No.
All right. We are halfway through this week.
What? Before we move on to the next game, big shout out to Argo Ginger. Mike Hogan from the Argos, who pulled some strings and also got the media staff across the league to match dollar for every kilometer that we walked. My Lord, Carter, I missed half a Saturday because I had to work, but other than that, I walked the rest of it. Oh my God. If you ever try to do 65-kilometer walk, buddy, make sure you bring some Advil because your feet are going to hurt. I looked at it this morning. I had 48 kilometers. 48 kilometers that I. So yes, I should explain it.
For those not aware what this is, if you haven't seen any of our other videos, this was the walk from BMO Field to Tim Hortons Field. For CFL Fans Fight Cancer.
And we did over 3.5 days.
Over 3.5 days, and I don't think the bucket that was taken on the walk has been fully tallied up yet.
Yes, I have.
Okay.
So we raised. So between walking at the restaurants every time we stopped, at tailgate today, and during the game, we raised $1,183.
And that is being added on to what was the final total from online? Because there was a lot more online donations to CFL
online is still going.
So you can still do that. So make sure you check out our video on CFL Fans Fight Cancer. In the link, in the description of that video, there's a link to where you can donate to CFL Fans Fight Cancer. So make sure you guys check that out. It
was $37,211. The group got to meet Commissioner Randy Ambrosi today. So basically Friday night we did 14 kilometers. We had to stop because of lightning and rain and everything. Saturday, they did 22 kilometers, which I did half of that because I joined halfway through the day because I had to work. Sunday we did 22, and then today we did 6. So I think I did, 54 kilometers or something like that. And before today, I was at 79,000 steps over 3 days. Wow. And I would have to go back and look at my numbers today, but still, that's a lot of walking.
So on average, at least for the portions that you were part of the walk, how many people were doing the walk while you were there?
Oh, it's just me, Dallas, and Connor. That was it.
Just the 3 of you guys?
Oh, wait. Okay.
And then I'm assuming there were some guys that joined in for portions of the walk and stuff like that, right?
I take that back. My apologies. Dallas's wife joined in.
Oh, yeah.
Friday and Saturday.
Awesome.
And then, so basically, Dallas and Connor stayed at my house Sunday because we wanted to get up early and do the walk on Monday. So basically, we met some amazing people along the way.
Okay.
At like the bars that I shouldn't really say bars, restaurants that we went to, that because we
Where
stopped
you were in the
Friday.
bar portion.
Well, no, because like there were bars and then like,
Some
but there were
taverns.
restaurants, so it's not really a bar.
Like a tavern.
But when your restaurant's called Beer Town, and then they have a paddle with like five different, like, because I'm not a beer drinker, so they have this paddle. They have this paddle where it was like five different brewered root beers.
Yeah.
And a different
Yeah, I know what you're
taste.
talking about.
I've never tried that before, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm gonna try this. But
You're
yeah,
talking about like the
so-
little small beers, and you can get like
yeah, little shot glasses.
Yeah, well, I think
this
they're
was, like,
slightly
different
bigger
root
than
beers.
shot glasses, right?
Yeah, but these are like different.
They're like the ones that you put like
root beers.
little like Jaeger bombs in. Like
Yeah,
just,
they're like this big, something like that.
Yeah, they're like bigger than a shot glass, but not the size of a normal glass.
So we actually
You got a nice
had
paddle of them. Yeah.
fans that day. So Nick Small, who was on one of our
Like
Argo
Biggie Smalls, but
mid-season,
Nick.
who was on our Argo
Argo midseason report. Check it out.
Mid-season
Link to that
review.
is well, we don't have a link to that, but you can check it out on the channel. Good stuff.
He
there.
joined us Saturday. Then there was some Ticat fans who joined us, or that was Friday, joined us Saturday.
Yep.
And there were actually fans that came up to us and they're like, we were following you your whole trip.
Wow.
Because like we would post on social media like,
Yep.
oh, we're at this point, you know, this and that.
So that
And
way
it's
people
just
can
like-
join if they want,
Yeah.
or check you guys out, or donate some
But
money.
some of these places that we had to go, oh my Lord. Carter, when you guys came to Hamilton last year, did you guys drive to Hamilton from Toronto?
Yes, we did.
Okay.
We had rented a vehicle and drove.
Do you remember driving over the Skyway? From Hamilton to Burlington.
I'm gonna be honest. I am not familiar with the GTA at all.
Okay,
Besides
anyways.
a little bit of
Okay.
downtown Toronto, and that is my knowledge.
So those
a little bit of
people that know the GTA Hamilton Burlington area very well,
The Greater Toronto Area.
instead of taking the Skyway over the lake and everything, we took Eastport, which is kind of like on the ground beside it, and oh my god, what felt like 30 minutes if you drove down it on a car felt like 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
And there's no sidewalk, so you have like this much, Carter. You
Yeah.
have like this much like space on the side of the road, and we're all trying to fit so we don't get hit by cars, and we're just
You're trying to be safe,
Yeah.
of course.
But we did it at like 11 o'clock, so there's like no one on the streets.
Was anyone wearing anything reflective?
Yeah, the other two had pure white football jerseys on. So I mean, if you can't see white jerseys,
Yeah, although I will say probably a good idea if you're walking around then to have something reflective on.
Yeah.
And
and then we got up at like 9 o'clock this morning, and then we did like the last 6, and then again, our good old friend Ginger Argo, we got to the tailgate this morning, had breakfast sitting there waiting for us.
yeah.
And then we walked around with the bucket, getting more donations. And then TSN interviewed us. The local news station interviewed us. And it's just like one of those things. If you're going to do this, you have to remember to be neutral. You cannot. And watch what you say.
Fair
As
enough.
Carter always likes to remind me.
Yeah. Like
But-
you're talking for the TSN ones, or?
No. I'm just saying, like, all in general, like, because you're representing not really the league, but like CFL Fights Cancer.
Yep. It's
organization.
not
Like,
it's
you
not a
can't-
team specific thing. It is a
Yeah,
this
and
is
not
everyone
only
coming
that-
together. Yep.
Not only that, but there's always going to be cameras around, so you can't be like a complete shit face.
Yeah, you have to be aware of your surroundings. You got to be smart.
Yes.
You can't just be wild west mouth wise. So.
But yes,
Don't be
I had a great
Motormouth.
experience.
Don't be Motormouth.
That's on my bucket list that I've actually even my parents came up to me saying they're like, I cannot believe that you did that. And the main thing that I will
Proud of you,
say,
Rick.
no, but not even that. Like even like me and Connor were talking about this the other day. A person with cancer, there's no like I can't, like we can't like stop the battle, stop walking. Like there is no.
Yep.
So it's like no matter how much mine and Connor's feet were so sore, like we're like basically like taking small steps. Unless it was like thunder and lightning, there was no stop.
Yep.
Because those people fight for their lives. Like there's
They don't
no
have
stopping.
that choice. They have to.
That's the mentality that you have to go into.
Yep.
Unless the only time that you can stop is like, okay, we're gonna call it a night and we're gonna continue here tomorrow. That's the only way that we'd stop. That was it.
Yep.
But
yeah, and at the end of the day, you guys raised a lot of money, and super proud of all you guys involved.
Oh,
again, everyone can still donate. Make sure you guys go to our CFL Fans Fight Cancer video. You guys can check that out. The link in the description of that video to where you guys can donate money towards that.
So I will say this. I will say this. We're at 94%. Even if we hit the 40,000, you can still donate. And also, they're gonna have silent auctions at the Grey Cup and everything.
That's awesome.
So they're gonna raise even more money. But again, shout out to Connor, Dallas, Argo, Ginger Argo, Mike Hogan, Shanetti did some tweets. The funny thing was that I'll just do this before we go on to our next game. So I donated $65, 1 kilometer per game, and I told them, okay, for my donation, I will wear an Argo hat for the first 20 minutes. And then a former Ticat had tweeted calling me a sellout because I wore an Argo hat. But then they deleted it because they didn't realize what it was for.
So they then at that point realized that what it was for.
Yeah. So I'm not an Argos fan, as the local TV station called me an Argos fan today. I just did it.
Rick's got to set the record straight.
Yes, I got to set the record straight. I'm not an Argo fan. Meanwhile, when they did the interview, I'm wearing my Ticat hat and Ticat jersey. But I did it in all fairness for the fundraiser.
Yeah. But
anyways, to get on to our first of many Labor Day games today.
First of the Monday Labor Day games, yeah.
Yes.
The third game of the weekend at the 1 hour and 7 minute mark of this video.
Yeah. I will say this, and I'm quoting TSN when I say this, because this was according to the panel. And when I talk in the panel, I am talking about Kate Burness, Matt Dunnigan, Milt Stiegel, and trying to think of who the other one
was
on the panel today. What's that?
Was it Mwamba again, or I'm trying to remember?
No, Mwamba was on the sideline. Either way, besides the point. So there was a big uproar about fans trying to bring in signs that said Chad Kelly's this and no means no and everything.
All the Chad Kelly related signs.
Yeah. So my point of mentioning this is the panel made it pretty clear Chad Kelly did this to himself. He has to deal with this forever, and he has to, he made his bed. The reason why I'm bringing this up is because I know some Argo fans are mad, but if you go to all the other stadiums that you're going to be going to and playing at this regular season, you're going to see the same thing.
Yep.
It's not.
Although I will
just
say,
I
do think it will be more severe naturally in Toronto and Hamilton, just with the relationship between, in the sense of, I think there's probably more awareness about the Argos, not even just.
There's
more awareness about the Argos in general in Hamilton, probably, and all this and that.
So it's.
I'm sure this will happen everywhere.
I want to say it was more with ride, like most that I
Well, to be
with
fair,
Ticat fans.
Rick, that was also his first game back, right?
No, this is his
No,
second
no,
game
the
or
Riders,
first
the
game
Riders
on.
one.
Yes, this was
Yeah,
his
you
second
see,
game on the
so
road.
exactly, but what I'm saying is the Rider. It was the one against the Riders. That was his first game back, so naturally that was kind of a bit of the narrative going
Yes.
into that. So that makes sense. Okay, yep.
So he goes in. We start the game and everything. I want to say first, if I remember correctly, I think the first pass was like an incomplete. Second pass was an interception.
Yep.
And then Bo Levi Mitchell, Bo 300 comes live and he throws a 52-yard to Tim White for a touchdown. The start that we needed, because if you look at 4 or 5 games, we have not scored any points in the first quarter.
Yeah, that's true.
Not only that, but I think it was, if you go farther into, and big shout out, I'm going to pronounce his name wrong, so I'll just mention this. Tula's brother got his first rushing touchdown, first career touchdown.
Yeah, I need to learn how to
From
pronounce that name.
Tulia, or I'm not sure how it's pronounced, but yeah, he got his first rushing touchdown. So I want to say I would have him over Frost
is it
as the
Tagovailoa
backup.
or something like that?
Something like that.
I need to learn it, but it's something along those lines.
And then after, this is just after Larham gets a field goal in the first quarter. I think there's like 3:29.
Who gets one at the?
Yeah, at 3:29. Bo takes on his 40 and he throws a 70-yard touchdown to Tim White. So I mean, at this point, you're already at like 120 yards in two, like kind of like 2 or 3 passes.
You got Tim White playing the way that Hamilton has wanted Tim White to play all season, as he would finish this game with 9 receptions, 180 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Absolutely bonkers.
And I mean, don't get me wrong, Chad Kelly played out of his mind today. I mean, he only missed 6 passes, 322 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. But Carter, what about that Brandon O'Leary almost touchdown?
Yeah, that pass for O'Leary Orange was fantastic, and was glad to see him be able to do that. Although there's 2 guys I want to kind of put a little bit of a highlight here. I thought Bell had a pretty good game. He 78 yards, only 9 rushes though, an average of 8.7. And also I thought that
he also went
I thought that Milanovic leader in his limited role. 28 yards on 6 rushes, an average of 4.7. I thought he did pretty solid too, even in his limited.
So the thing with Milanovic Litre is that he's our short yardage quarterback.
Yep.
So he's our Chris Streveler of our team. But don't forget, Greg Bell also went 4 for 4 with 40 receiving yards. So it's what I think that Milanovic is doing is that it's not just like, we're not just using our running back for running, but you're also including like passes to him as well.
Yep.
But with that being said, Bo Levi Mitchell only missed 10 passes. It is what it is. 347 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 picks.
Yep. That was more of what you needed, wasn't it?
Oh, we needed this.
And 21 points in that first quarter, though. It was one of those things. Hamilton was on fire, and in that first quarter, and it was one of those things where had a little bit of a rough rough time for the rest of the game, but they put themselves in a position for success, and somehow, even with putting up a big fat donut in the third quarter, they get it done.
There was a point where Toronto kicked the field goal. I want to say the second field goal, that is, with 10:42 left.
Yep.
And then Constantino went to go punt the ball. We got a single. At that point, it was 28-28, and I'm thinking to myself, my Lord, here we go again.
Yeah.
We have a big lead. It was 28-14 at half. And it's like, for the love of God, please, 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 don't blow this game. And then, just like,
a lot closer than you'd like, probably.
Oh, like, I don't know what it is, but a lot of the games as of late are getting closer.
Yep.
And then it's just like Ticats did like the perfect job with like 2 minutes left just to like run out the clock.
Yeah.
But the Ballard Cup is coming home, because the Ballard Cup, for those that don't know, you guys have your guys is different. You guys have the Banjo Bowl, but it's just like that one game. The Ballard Cup, just to give some reference, the Toronto Maple Leafs owner, last name was Ballard.
Harold Ballard.
And he also owned the Ticats at the time. So that's where the Ballard Cup comes into play.
And so
he made a cup, and he called it the Ballard Cup.
Yep.
But did you want to go over
the top
the defensive stats?
That's right. And if I miss anything, because I'm just going off the score app, please fill in.
That's right. Yes.
On the Ticat side of things, Jamal Peters leading the charge, 8 tackles for him, 5 for Talbert, 5 for Baker, 4 for Usher, as well as a sack for him, 4 for Katsantonis, 4 for Wilson, and then a sack for Hendricks and an interception for Leonard. Anything else I'm missing there? Or is that looking
on both sides or just the Ticats?
On the Ticats.
Looks good so far.
Okay, and then on the Argonaut side of things, Mauger leading the charge of 7 tackles for him, 1 sack, 6 for Mechie, 5 for Jones, 4 for Sopik, and then a sack for Holly, a sack for Ormelad, and a sack for Derek Parrish. Is there anything else we're missing on that side of the...
nothing
defense?
On that side.
Then we're looking good. So that is your defensive stats and top tacklers.
Did you mention the kickers?
The kickers. And then, yes. And then Haralahu goes 5 for 5 with a longest of 47 yards. And then Mark Leggio goes 3 for 3 with a longest of 55 yards.
And I just want to put this out there. Kadeem Carey had 12 carries for 78 yards. And Chad Kelly also had 6 carries for 39 yards and a touchdown.
Yep. And a lot of juking on that touchdown. And the thing I wanted to mention, Chad Kelly gets... this game, he gets the absolute crap beaten out of him. Every time there's only one time he goes down and he slides normally. On all these running plays, there's one where he goes and he's trying to go for the end zone. And he gets hit, does a full front flip, but the ball touches the ground before he gets into the end zone. And
no, you know what that was?
And then there was another one where...
That was the 2-point convert.
That was the 2-point conversion, that's right. But he was trying to go to the end zone regardless. And he just got the absolute smack hit out of him. And I'm sure Twitter was all over that, seeing Chad Kelly just get completely roughed up. It was really funny one time on 2nd and long. He didn't find anything and was going to try to run for it, but ran into his offensive lineman and then fell straight on his ass and didn't get anything. And that was kind of funny. But there were some big hits against Chad Kelly this game, as Chad Kelly, a bit of a more durable quarterback, I'd say. Doesn't go down a bit easier, and sometimes he instead of sliding, he'll soak a hit or two, in order to try to get a bit of extra field. So At the end of the day, though, the Ballard Cup goes to the Ticats. Ticats win on Labor Day. And Rick, you got to be happy about this because, first of all, both of our teams won in Labor Day this year.
Yes.
And then also, the Ticats are at a point in the season where realistically, are they doing much of anything? Most likely not. But the Labor Day is yours. The Ballard Cup is yours.
Listen, if we go, what are we at? Week 14. We've played 12 games. We have six more to go. Listen, if we go 0-6, actually no, I want to go 1-5 because we play Argos one more time in Toronto, and I at least want to win that game to sweep them this year. Other than that, I don't even care what happens this year because we've already won the season series.
So you got the wins that you guys want considering your guys'
but there's
situation.
one more. There's one more win for bragging rights. If you sweep the team.
Which leaves us with our last game of the weekend, the Battle of Alberta.
Oh my
Labor Day Classic. The Edmonton Elks defeat the Calgary Stampeders by a score of 35-20.
This just, pardon my French, this just fucks up the West.
Oh man, the West is such a it's all over the place.
Because I mean, with Saskatchewan's tie, like I said, they go from first
to third.
To third by the end of Sunday.
BC and Winnipeg are tied, but Winnipeg has the tiebreaker against the Lions, both with a 6-6 record. Then the Riders at 5-6-1, and then the Stamps at 4-7-0. The Elks at 4-8-0, but the Elks started with, keep in mind, in their last 4 games, they are 3-1. So who knows? The Stamps could possibly drop into that 4th place, dependent on how next week's game goes.
The one thing that I will mention before we get into this last game, they have not won a game since July 19th. So you're over a month and a half. Saskatchewan.
Oh, I know. They went from 5-1 to 5-6-1. It's beautiful.
And just for facts, the last team that they beat was your Bombers.
Yeah, well, the last team they lost to was also the Bombers. Your point is, yeah, but they lost the Labor Day game. You're going to tell me that random Winnipeg Saskatchewan game is worth more than Labor Day? Bullshit. Labor Day is worth more.
But
they don't have a stat of all the times that Winnipeg and Saskatchewan meet in week whatever the fuck. What is the all-time record? No, they don't ask about that. They ask about Labor Day and the Banjo Bowl. Those are the 2 they ask about. Winnipeg's got one of them, and we'll have to see how the other one goes.
Oh, my Lord.
What did you just discover?
So, McLeod Bethel Thompson, 486 yards, 3 touchdowns.
I saw that. With no interceptions.
Hold on, it gets better. Tevin Jones, 5 for 5, 208 yards, 2 touchdowns. Curly Gittins Jr., 7 of 11, 115 yards.
And
Eugene Lewis, 6 of 7, 112, 1 touchdown.
Do you know what I find hilarious?
All of those yards are basically 3 receivers.
Do you know what I find hilarious about this, Rick? Is that even the week that Tim White gets 180 receiving yards, he isn't leading the league in receiving yards that weekend because someone else had to have a somehow crazier game. Tevin Jones, 200 yards receiving.
However, there is a however.
Yeah.
He is only behind Justin Hardy, less than 30 yards per second.
Who is?
Tim White. And
in the league?
Yeah, and he's only behind Justin McInnes in touchdowns by 1.
Yeah, because I guess guys like McInnes really fell off after the BC started losing. Because McInnes was on fire, but then the whole team has kind of had a rough stretch for a while.
And my Lord, will The real Jake Maier, please stand up, because this guy threw for 297 yards, 1 touchdown, 4
picks. Ouch.
And not only that,
See,
but your backup
you asked if the real Jake Maier would stand up, please, but I would argue this is very much the real Jake Maier.
But Matt Schultz, their backup, is injured.
Yeah, it's rough. Although I will say, you know what I find hilarious? When they do their rushing yards, and one of the rushing stats for the Stampeders, third in rushing yards, is Jalen Philpott with -4. I just find it hilarious having a guy on the rushing yard stat sheet who's in the negatives on his one rush that he got. So, bit of a funny thing there. Rene Paredes goes 2 for 2. And then on the other side of things, Boris Beatty doesn't play this game. Dean Faithful goes 1 for 2, hits the 41-yard field goal. However, he misses the 29-yard field goal in the second quarter, gets a single. So Edmonton, their first half of this game is a little strange, as Edmonton goes up 2-0 in the first, as 2 punts, not missed field goals, 2 punts will grab them singles. And then in the second quarter, Dean Faithful hits the 41-yard field goal, which gives them their 3 points. Then later on, they hit a single with Dean Faithful missing the 29. Again, this is kind of where people go back to that it's one thing if it's a good punt or if a guy takes a knee in the end zone, but a missed field goal should not be a single, which I understand that. And then they would get their passing touchdown for Eugene Lewis, 11 yards from Bethel Thompson. So the bit of an interesting kind of first part of this game. Calgary puts up a big fat donut in that first quarter. They only give up 2 though, but Edmonton able to either tie them in a quarter with the third quarter, both putting up 7 apiece, or beat them with 11 points for the Elks and only 6 for the Stamps, and then 15 in the fourth quarter, only 7 for the Stamps. And again, it was those big passes that were able to just do all the damage. Tevin Jones, 73-yard pass for Bethel Thompson in that fourth quarter is just absolutely lethal. And the Elks able to get it done in what is one hell of a game. There's probably a bit more to talk about. Rick, is there anything else you had? Because I did not get to see all this game. I was in a car all day, and then honestly, I got home and I'm like, I just need to relax.
So I will say, not game-wise, but even though Jake Maier still put up 300 yards, Bo still leads the league with just under 400 yards. The guy has 21 touchdowns, which the next person behind him is Bethel Thompson with 17.
Yep.
And I'm so happy because Mitchell's not leading the league in interceptions anymore.
Who's that?
Zach Claros.
Yeah, I knew that was happening.
I will say, though, McLeod Bethel Thompson, 17 touchdowns, 8 interceptions for the amount of money.
Here's the thing I will say about Zach Claros. Is he leading the league in interceptions? Yes. However, if you need a clutch quarterback in the CFL...
Oh, don't get me wrong. He is a clutch...
If everything is going to crap and the game is close and you need your savior... I don't know if there's any other quarterback I'd rather have than Zach Claros. I'm not kidding.
Don't get me wrong. Like if you're
I'm not pitting this on you. If
you're down by 5, if you're down by 5 and you have to put all your eggs in a basket to get that winning touchdown.
Oh, Claros don't need no breadcrumbs to find that house.
Oh no, Zach Claros is money on that.
Yeah, but he has thrown a lot of picks. That's true. And although, to be fair,
I can't
put all those on him. Some of them have went off helmets and bounced high in the air. A lot of them, I believe, are because receivers have made some really critical mistakes in that regard. But I digress.
So, just one last thing that I'm going to be looking at is,
I don't know if hour and a half into this video.
Yeah. Well, I'm just going to make this quick. If Philpott comes back before the end of the season between Justin McInnes, who's already over 1,000. So we'll start with Justin Hardy. Justin Hardy is second in yards.
Of course, to Mr. Tyson Philpott.
Yes. Justin Hardy, 853, all the way down to Ontario Wilson in 7th with 765. That is 7 receivers across the league that could potentially be, if you play your cards right, because each team has to play 18 games, you could have at least 7 receivers across the league with 1,000 yards by the end of the season. That is crazy.
That is crazy. Rick, is there anything else we have? We've been talking about this for a long time. This has been a long review. I knew it was going to be long, though.
Hey, just all those people out there that like the longer videos, this is your little Christmas present early.
There you go. And all those people that like football, don't get into fights in the crowd. It's a bad idea.
Which one was it? I
forgot
to do.
I was typing away.
No. I'm trying to find out what the. I'll have to go and find it. But I was looking for the our sheet for the week to see where we were.
So I go 2-2 this week. As I correctly predicted that the Elks and the Bombers would win their respective games. I think you go 2-2 as well, as you correctly.
Oh yeah, I took Calgary. I took Calgary and Ottawa.
Oh, so you actually went 1-3.
No. Sorry, I took.
Because you got Hamilton right,
and I took Saskatchewan.
So you got that wrong. So you went 1-3.
I just got to find the actual Google.
Because we both took Ottawa. I took Winnipeg. You took Saskatchewan. So we both got Ottawa wrong. I got the Regina Labor Day Classic right. I took Toronto. Yeah. I was wrong. You took Hamilton. You were right on that one. And then I took Edmonton. You took Calgary, and Edmonton won. So I got that one right. So I went 2-2, and I think you went 1-3. I believe.
That's okay. I will bounce back next week.
At the end of the day, realistically, Rick, whether you were going 4-0, 2-2, 3-1, 1-3, as long as the Ticats won your Labor Day Classic over there in Hamilton, and as long as my Bombers won my Labor Day Classic over in Regina, that's the only games we really cared about in that regard. You know what
exactly.
I mean? I'm fine if I went 1-3 this week and Blue Bombers beat the Riders. I'm cool with that. So.
Oh my God, Carter.
What?
We both have the same record.
Really? I thought I was leading. Yeah.
No, because you were 26, 21, and 1 going into this week. I was 27, 20, and 1. So you had one loss, and I had one extra win. And now you're 28, 23, and 1, and then 28, 23, and 1.
I see. 28, 23, and 1 for both of us, right?
Yes.
Okay. You're starting to lag out a little on my end. The internet's getting a little choppy.
Well, you know what that means.
I think that means that we got to wrap this video up. People are probably just going to be staring at a stilled image of Rick on the other side, just staring off into the distance. But
Carter would say,
even your audio's a little choppy. Just be careful. Oh, there we go. Rick drops out. Uh-oh. That's all right. We're gonna finish this video with Rick. We're gonna finish it. So I'm not even gonna edit this out. We're gonna keep this in. Unless, is my internet really that bad now? Well, it's all going straight to hell. Rick lagged out of the video. This is my internet just completely crashing over here in Winnipeg. It's all that McDonald's Wi-Fi we got. Anyways, make sure you guys like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already. Make sure you guys hit the little notification bell. Helps out the channel a ton. Long video today. If you guys seriously stuck around the end, make sure you guys hit the subscribe button. Seriously, you guys are troopers. Also, if you're listening to this on Spotify, make sure you guys give us 5 stars there, as your support is very much appreciated. We know some of you guys love listening there, so we appreciate you doing that. So peace, love, and positivity to all you wonderful people at home, and we'll see you when we do our preview for this next week, which includes that sweet, sweet Banjo Bowl. So until next time, guys.
Touchdown, Bucks!